Do you want to give maybe like a one bit of advice before you hop off to everybody here?
I just like I think just my thing would be like keep building. I know it's hard right now with investors, and it's like a top of people's mind, but I truly think like companies that have been built right now that aren't taking on external capital, that are bootstrapping and building amazing businesses where they own 100% of that organization are going to be extremely appealing when the market tips. And so if you at all have that possibility of being able to bootstrap and to just focus on building, I would be way more focused on building than I would be on fundraising. And then I would wait for the sentiment to truly shift, and then I'd come in with maybe a smaller business because you haven't raised external funding, but I think a profitable business or a business that you own 100% of, and I think those are going to be the things that people are looking very favorably on in a couple of years.
What's the one thing everyone should focus on if they could just take one thing away as a founder?
I think it's really important that you find ways to continuously keep your battery charged and stay extremely excited about the space, even when the numbers aren't looking as good as you hoped, or the headset sales aren't looking as good as you hoped, or whatever. It's just a very choppy space. And we're just kind of constantly thinking about the day when VR does go mainstream and how exciting that's going to be. And that just kind of gets us through the harder parts.
Plus, like, what's your one best bit of advice besides perseverance for founders in general?
Be frugal everywhere you can. Pretend you don't, even if you have a lot of money, pretend you don't have that money. You'll build a much more efficient a model. The other thing too is I would say is from the very beginning, think about building a scalable model. And that means in terms of something where you don't have to carry huge inventories. We buy our VR headsets off the shelf from Pico or DPVR or someone else like that. You don't have a long supply chain. But then also in terms of using distributors and other things, how can you get from point A to point B by spending the least amount of money? Because you never know. And then the third is that, you know what, if you're being offered money, even though you may not be happy with the valuation in this market, just grab it because there may not be another term sheet coming.
What's your best advice for everybody? Like the one North Star that you think every founder should follow as they go about their business?
Solve a specific problem and make, if the ROI is there, like that's how you have something you can sell to a customer, right? So I think that's like really simple business advice, but it's also like we're in emerging technology. It's very easy to fall in love with the tech, and then go in search of a problem. And that can be just a harder way to go to market and figure it out.
What is your one biggest lesson for founders when it comes to building startups slash fundraising?
I think a big focus should be, and that might sound even cliche, but now that I'm on the other side of the investment table, it's the team. It's a complementary skill set. If you're a solo founder, your ambition to look for other team members with complementary skills, and definitely for the XR and VR market, be able to pivot because there are, of course, tools like or funding from the likes of Meta or Pico, but then at some point we have to be creative and be able to pivot into where the market or where the technology then goes to. So I think a transformative team, a team that can pivot, and that ambition and that drive is definitely one of the key elements I would focus on in pitching to VC.
What's the number one bit of advice out of everything you've learned over all those tens of millions that you can share with us as you're going away?
I guess I'll go back to like an age old, like it doesn't hurt to ask for help, right? Like never hurts to ask. Yeah, it's like super easy. Like you're shocked how many people say yes. Vulnerability beats like much else. Like everyone loves being asked for help. So just do a lot of that.
Like if everyone takes away one key thing from your 2 decades or a decade of building startups, what do you think people should walk away with thinking from today?
I'll do something to talk about it all. Here's my other like big life lesson is like be an includer. And all the most successful things happen either when I found ways to fold other people into what I was working on in a way that was not just for me, right? Or I found ways to like check my ego and be like, I should just go, like, I should try to work with this person, right? Just the idea they had of like their startup idea was actually a startup idea I wanted to build. That's how I knew about it. It's like, shit, someone built the thing I want to build. And rather than being like, I'm going to compete with them, I said, I want to join you. I think like we got complementary skills. I used to run an open source project and people would pop up competing open source projects and I'd reach out to them and be like, that's a great idea. You should just build that in this existing open source project. And so I think my bias, especially coming from North Carolina originally, was I'll go it alone. Because for 20 years, I could never get anyone to do anything with me. And so I was like, fuck it. I think happens a lot. Most people I meet, unless they're in the Bay Area or in some of the tech hub, are by far the most entrepreneurial person they know. And so they just get used to, fuck it, I'll go it alone. But when you find other entrepreneurs, there's also a reason why YC for the longest time didn't fund solo founders. When you find other entrepreneurs, you should contort yourself to find a way to work together rather than to compete or not work together, right? Even if that means sacrificing some of your ideas or sacrificing some of your equity or whatnot. I think it's super valuable when you can be an includer. I think that's a huge force multiplier.
Like when you go to your next company, what is the one lesson you guarantee that you're going to focus on that we all should be focused on?
Thing about startups is never one lesson. It's multiple lessons and a juggling a question of what you let break and fall. The things that are absolutely non-negotiable are obsess over the user behavior, don't spend a lot, and do not expect any success for 10 years. If it happens, it happens. Follow the behavior, keep the basics, get the basics right, don't burn, manage my mental health. That's it.
Nico, do you want to give us a farewell thought or something that you want to leave everybody thinking about today?
People who live in the heads in the future and are good storytellers about how to bring that future, from today, always have the opportunity to raise capital. Pre-seed seed, the market is good. I haven't seen any downturn since 2022, 23. Like the first check, the first round, most people I know raise. To go from pre-seed seed to the next round, like Series A, it's hard. Like you gotta prove that you have something that is in the beginning of working. Otherwise, you need to be in AI looking back.
Do you two want to have any maybe like last giving bits of advice that you can share with people around fundraising or just building startups in general?
Perseverance is key. It's the number one thing that will make you successful, because you need luck, but luck is the more longer you survive, the bigger chance you'll get luck. So that's my only advice.
Yeah. I think perseverance is great. And then also act as if you don't need funding in order to have a successful startup, right? Do not wait for a savior to come in and do it. Take on the personal agency and the personal responsibility to say, I'm going to do this. And it's going to be so incredible that VCs are going to have to get in. They're going to want to get in because it's too good.
Hey, what's your best advice for founders? Just the number one thing that you think everyone should leave this meeting with?
Whenever you start a fundraise, like really do your work, like make sure you've got a pipeline, you're running it like a sales process, like you're saying, right, I've got 8 weeks to go and run this process. I'm going to speak to these 10 VCs as my first wave, these 10 as the second wave, and it can be different strategies, right? But you need to pick what it is and then just go and like hard out, like just run the process. I think the problem is when you're just doing a little bit here and there, like, oh, maybe I'll do 2 things here and then I'll go to an event and then I'll do that. Like, no, it just needs to be a strategy. The strategy could be, I'm going to speak to these 4 people over the first 4 weeks, or it could be, I'm going to speak to these 50 people over 2 months, but just figure what that is with your co-founder or one of your existing investors and just go and run the process as hard as possible. And then if you don't manage to raise in that time, like pause, stop, think about what you need to do, stop the fundraise, and come back and then do another process in a very structured way.
What's your number one bit of advice for a founder? And then feel free to hop off. Like what do you see there?
Space, it's tired to say the dirty word. You're a business. You have to make money, right? It's so sad. Like having efficacy data is not enough. You've got to have like the ARR. You've got to have the name brand companies signing up, and then it's the VR part. The AR and AI part, okay, that's kind of still it's shiny, but still you're gonna get a bit of skepticism around AR even. And I say this, and it's like everyone's going to come out with flashes in the next couple of years, but so many VCs have gotten burned with it that it's just you're running a business. You're running a business. Sorry to be boring and a business person, but that's what you're doing when you're talking to me and other people who are basically bankers.